What's going on, everyone? Welcome back to another video. Today is day 15 of our 30 days of wholesaling houses. Now, for those that are not familiar with the 30 days of wholesaling houses, I decided to do 30 daily videos for the month of May, showing you step by step for absolutely free how to flip houses in your city. So if this happens to be the first video that you landed on this channel, please start in day 1 of our 30 days of wholesaling houses. You can find the playlist in the channel, so do yourself a favor, start in day 1 and get caught up to date so you can learn step by step how to flip houses. Best part about it, it is free. Now, for those that aren't familiar with who I am, my name is Alex Saenz. I am a 65-year-old real estate entrepreneur. I'm just kidding, guys. All these intros get super repetitive, so I wanted to disrupt the normal intro, but all joking aside, my name is Alex Saenz, and I'm a 23-year-old real estate entrepreneur. And I started real estate investing at the age of 18. Over the last few years, I've flipped and wholesaled hundreds of homes, and I want to show you step by step how you can do it. And not only that, but I want to show you how you can do it with number 1, the least amount of headaches. And I want to save you a lot of pain and headache by showing you the process step by step on what to do, how to do it properly, and then what not to do. So I want to show you everything on this channel. So guys, get ready. Day 15 is here. We're halfway through the 30 days of wholesaling houses, and I'm excited to help a lot of you just create a life that you've never imagined. So make sure you like this video, subscribe to the channel. Without further ado, let's dive into day 15. Let's go. So guys, let's get on with the lesson of the day. I hope you guys find this extremely valuable. I hope you have your notes ready, you have your mind ready. I hope you're not doing some random thing right now. You're really focused, because the more focused you are, especially when it comes to real training education, we actually do deals. We know what we're talking about. I want you guys to be fully present for this video, because it's ultimately for you. You know, we're already closing deals. We want you to close deals, so please pay attention. Today's video is going to be about one of the most challenging things when it comes to closing deals. And the topic we're going to be discussing is how to build rapport. So he's going to explain what rapport is.
So there's a huge misconception when it comes to talking to sellers that building rapport is understanding what your prospect's favorite color might be, or even what their favorite professional sports team is. But really what rapport is a close and harmonious relationship in which all the parties involved understand each other's feelings and are able to communicate them well. So what does that mean? It means going beyond deeper than building common ground, right? Finding common ground and, you know, asking all the questions that we taught you how to ask, right? You know, these questions that you're being instructed to talk about are because they're going to open the opportunity and lead you to the avenues to where the seller might mention, oh yeah, I've owned this property for 20 plus years. I really enjoyed my time living there. Oh really? I'm sure you have a lot of good memories there. Can you tell me about some of them? Right? And you really dig deeper to understand what their true emotions and feelings are. I mean, it's so easy to get caught up in your day-to-day activity where, you know, you're on call 80 for the day, right? You've made 80 outbound calls and you skip rapport building, but rapport building is single-handedly the most important part of the acquisition. And that's a bold statement. Sales, and from what I'm noticing, is that it's a mixture of doing a whole lot of things right. It's a mixture of executing your pitch, right? It's a mixture of executing the negotiation, and it's a mixture of executing rapport building. Because at the end of the day, your prospect is going to do business with whoever they like most. Now, how do you do that? Building rapport, right? Building a real relationship where not only you understand the seller's feelings, right, and are able to connect with them, but they're able to do the same. Rapport should not be one-sided, where, you know, I'm trying to just drill you until we find something in common, but where we can both sit back and look at the conversation and say, you know what? I'm actually engaged in this conversation. I'm actually, you know, giving him some feedback. He's giving me some feedback. And what do we have? A harmonious relationship. You got to have a harmonious relationship with all your clients. How are you going to do business with somebody who doesn't want to talk to you or who doesn't really like you? It just doesn't happen.
So step 1 about the rapport is, you know, to keep it simple, for those that are new, you do want to find commonalities with sellers. So how does that look like?
So finding commonalities, going into further detail, it's very simple, right? I understand that, you know, as somebody who wants to build rapport, I want to know more than just the surface, right? If they told me that they're an Arizona Cardinal fan and I say I'm an Arizona Cardinal fan, I want to take that even a step deeper. I want to find out, have you ever attended any games, Mr. Seller? Or, Mr. Seller, have you had the chili cheese fries at State Farm Stadium? Those are the best, right? Going deeper to where they're engaged. Yeah, exactly. Where they're going to come back and say, oh, I'm more of a beer and hot dog type of guy, right? Now I know he likes beer. Ah, shit, I like beer too. We should grab a beer sometime, right? Having a real relationship where, you know, you're transparent over the phone.
Bro, real quick, pause. You've actually had beers with our sellers.
Yes, I have had beers with our sellers, and it happens through building rapport. Because after they get closed, they realize, hey, I kind of like this guy. I'd be willing to have a drink with this guy, right? And, you know, sometimes during the transaction, it happens, right? Where, I mean, your sellers, you really, really just connect with your sellers because you might be solving an issue that nobody else solved for them, right? Or, you know, they like you. You're the guy who's providing the funds to the property. These are people that you got to build relationships with. And, you know, something that I did early on was overlook the report process. I try to talk to people about their house. I try to talk to people about numbers and rehab costs and, you know, what's the reason they were looking to sell and all that fun stuff that, yeah, you need to get.
That's right, yeah.
But I was not building enough rapport. So what would happen is I would either sometimes lose the deal because I didn't build enough of a relationship, or I cut down our profit and we overpaid. Because what happens when you build a ton of rapport is you're able to get more information out of them, which would lead to you getting a better acquisition price. Or sometimes even it happens all the time where people will take and offer $30,000, $20,000, $40,000 even lower than what their other offer is, just because they like me,
they trust you,
and they trust me,
yep.
And I've earned their respect.
So trust and respect, guys, is the new modern currency. It's not all about money.
Yes.
Sellers care more about trust and respect versus the number. Now, you will have your sellers that are stuck on a price, and it doesn't matter who they do business with. They just want to see the check, and that's okay. You can adapt and mirror that certain seller. But when it comes to the majority of sellers, it is a trust and respect thing versus a numbers thing. And one thing I want to mention, and you actually said this earlier, was if you're on your 80th call and you're dry and you're boring with it and you're not building rapport, you're not taking your time with conversations. Look, it is not about making 80 calls. Okay, if you make 20 calls a day and you take your time, you ask the proper questions, you build a proper rapport, you have a heart that hears, and you come with true compassion and an attempt and intention to help heal, number one, their problems, their situation, help them buy their property, you're going to have much more success than the robot, the machine that is making 80 calls a day with no compassion. And I know you've been that person.
And I have.
And this is what I'm saying. Guys, Andy was getting a ton of results when he started, but he was skipping over the report process. So if you want to touch on that and how when you kind of slow things down, your numbers just shot up.
I truly, truly feel that had I started really diving deep on building rapport with sellers from year one, I mean, geez, you could probably 2x our revenue, just because I did miss out on certain opportunities where I wasn't willing to build a relationship like I should have been willing to, right? Because here I am 80 calls, 90 calls later, right? It's just a numbers game. It's just a numbers game. Yeah, I might have still locked that seller up and we made $15,000 on that deal. But had I sat there and really, really, you know, put myself in a state of mind and situation where I could really have compassion towards their issues and understand what their needs were, I could have negotiated better deals through, you know, more rapport built and through more information that they would have given me had I built rapport. Because that's just what happens, right? You know, when you're the guy who is sitting there and you're engaged in conversation with, you know, I'm going to drag out that phone call to make it a 30, 40, 50-minute phone call. Chances are your competition is not on the phone for 30, 40 minutes with the seller.
Not at all.
You know, they're on in 5, 10 minutes, they get their offer, and guess what? The seller forgot about you. Do you think our seller is going to forget the 30, 40-minute conversation that they had with me?
Of a true connection.
No way. Exactly. And what also happens is they don't want to go and spend another 40 minutes on the phone with somebody after they just spent 30 minutes on the phone with you, right? That shit's boring to them. Why would they do that? You know, you're there now. You're solving their problems in real time. You're engaging in real time. So I guess if you haven't caught the rhythm of what we're saying, do not overlook report building. It is single-handedly, in my opinion, the most important part of, you know, the transaction. Because I know that when I started building rapport, I saw my average deal size, boom, increase increase, increase. Why? Just because it's building a relationship. Does it take more time? Yes. Does it require more skill? Yes. Was I willing to practice that skill? Yes.
Practice, practice, practice. And I think that the rapport process, especially when you're young, helps you tremendously because it allows the seller, and then you give yourself the chance for them to trust and respect you. If you hear with a heart that hears and have good intention, and you literally have compassion every single conversation you have, that seller is going to trust you regardless of how many deals you've done, if you've ever done a deal, and your age. It does not matter the age, the color of your skin. I don't care if you're 60. I don't care if you're 18 and you just started. It does not matter if you take your time with rapport and earn the seller's trust and respect by what he just mentioned entirely.
Yes, and just remember, I think a blueprint of building rapport is going much more deeper than common ground, as I mentioned, right? If the seller opens up their private life to you just a little bit, right? You hear them talk about a hobby, you hear them talk about a mutual interest, a like, a dislike, right? Work life, the family life, right? The kiddos. If you hear them mention anything that you have in common, guess what? You bring it up and you say, you know what, Mr. Seller? I hate cutting the grass too, right? You know what, Mr. Seller? I hate going to California also. It's too much traffic. I would rather go camping, right? Keep in mind that you have to relate to whatever your seller is saying, right? You know, sometimes you even have to make stuff up along the way. You know, if a seller tells you that they like guns, you don't know anything about guns, I'm gonna somehow bring up, you know, any little information I know about guns to try to form a relationship, get them to talk more, get them to say something that, you know, you just trigger, and you can keep building off of ultimately.
So guys, find commonalities between you and the seller, and commonalities means things that you have in common with the seller. Rapport, I would summarize it as building a deep connection with a human, not just a seller, okay? So have some compassion in your phone calls. Next thing on rapport, this is a huge rapport killer. Actually, let's talk about some killers. So the number one thing that I would bring up that kills a lot of deals and flow in the conversation is that people jump into numbers right away.
People are awkward when it comes to talking about numbers, right? Can we all agree that, you know, we have family members, friends, that as soon as you bring up money, guess what? People get uncomfortable.
Or you bring up the bill, everybody cringes. Like,
why would you jump directly into numbers? Your sellers are the same exact way. Most people are uncomfortable when it comes to talking about numbers. So you have to ease your way in there, right? You know, now before you even try to talk about negotiating or, you know, try to talk about, you know, what price they're looking for, you know, have like Alex said, that human touch and learn something about them before you try to get into the numbers. You know, this is a game where, you know, they can go and get an offer from any other person who calls them right then and there, right? That's how you separate yourself from your competition, by building rapport. And, you know, as you know, obvious as that might seem, guess what? It's the truth. It's what works. It's what we actually do when we close deals. We build rapport, and we don't overlook that process because we understand how important and crucial it is to build a relationship before we start talking about numbers. Your seller doesn't care about numbers. They want to know that they're in good hands before they even prepare to discuss figures, right? So with that said, I mean, nothing changes. You know, you're the professional. You have to know and when to come in and, you know, when to start building rapport. And, you know, when you feel like that conversation is dragging along, all right, now start talking about, you know, what kind of work the property needs to the house, or, you know, what they might be looking to get for the house. But I think a good objective for everybody is learn something about the seller or connect with them in a way before you just start discussing any sort of figures.
Guys, and even if that means that you have to practice on some for sale by owners and some random Craigslist ads, by all means do it. So when you start paying for leads, you start targeting your driving for dollar leads, you are well prepared and you're not going to mess up a conversation. And to be honest, you're going to mess up a few conversations, especially when you start. But I want to make 2 points. So point number one is, who is the professional when it comes to the conversation?
The professional is the person who knows just a little bit more about the subject.
Wait, hold on. Repeat that one more time.
The professional is the person who knows just a little bit more about the subject. It could be 1% more, 2% more, you know, 70% more. It doesn't matter. The professional is the person who knows, right? You know, the same thing applies for these conversations. When you call your prospect, and, you know, even if it's your first phone call or it's your, you know, 100th phone call, right? You have to understand that, you know, the seller is looking at you for guidance. It shouldn't be the other way around.
I mean, most sellers are I mean, unless you're a real estate investor, you're not selling more than 1 to maybe 2, 3 properties max in your lifetime.
Yes.
So when somebody calls you or you find a vacant property and this is the first or second house they've ever sold, they're looking at you for the process and guidance.
Yes.
And guys, if you think that you're gonna watch one video on my YouTube channel and then you're gonna feel free to go back into the field and start getting deals, that's not gonna happen. I recommend that you go through all the YouTube videos and write down as much information as you can and literally remember everything. Comprehend the wholesale and real estate process, understand it, get the knowledge, go take action. And over time, as you continue to try and fail and succeed, you're gonna get the wisdom and then it becomes easy. But you're not going to get results if you don't learn the process, and then you're not going to get results because you're not overcoming the fears. So get informed and take action. Now back to the subject here. Let's talk about personality types and how to briefly cater. I know this can be an hour discussion, but let's summarize it. So personality types.
To summarize personality types, and like Alex said, we can go on about this forever. We've, done hundreds of deals, have seen every personality in the book, right? And still meeting new ones. Every deal is different. You have to be able to adapt to whoever you're on the phone with, whether you're talking to a rancher on the phone or you're talking to, somebody in uptown New York who's extremely professional, right? And they know what they want and they have background on their property, right? You have to be able to adapt to all these personalities. So the first group I'm going to be talking about is red. Reds are your drivers. These are typically people that know what they want, have made it abundantly clear, they're vocal about their needs, and at the end of the day, they're the ones that, they're a little tougher to build rapport with. And the best thing I can give you for advice with anybody who tries to rush you to make an offer, tries to get you to, spill whatever your message is in a minute or less, you play their game. Because it sounds like they want to be in control of the conversation, but if you let them be in control, then you lost. That's not going to be a deal for you. You can't, your seller cannot be in control.
That's right.
So I know that if I'm dealing with a red, they like things done their way, which is more often than not in an efficient manner. I can attack the conversation the same way. So Mr. Seller, it sounds like, you're all business and I can appreciate that. In fact, that's how I would rather do business. So since you're so ready to receive an offer, let's talk shop. Let's see what we can do about getting you an offer, right? That's exactly what they want to hear. Okay, let's talk shop. I do business the same way. Now give me an offer, right? With reds, if you try to build rapport right off the top of the conversation, they're going to hang up on you and they're going to tell you to get lost. Because somebody who answers the phone like, hello, who is this? Is not going to sit there and take it well when you ask them, oh, hey, so, do you have good memories at this property? They're going to be like, fuck off, dude. Like, it doesn't matter. Give me an offer. So with reds, you start building rapport later in the conversation once you've made it past the pitch. You have to get past the pitch first before you can build rapport with the red. And then you have your blues. Blue personality types are people who are very analytical. They're very strategic, very prepared.
Me.
They went into, yeah, you're a blue. You go into every conversation having a tactic that you want to form in your way. So these are people that want to feel like they're winning and they can separate business from personal, right? Now, just because they can separate business from personal, these are people that are actually generally easy to have a conversation. Similar thing as the red, except it's less aggressive. Okay, so, hey, Mr. Seller, we want to see what we can do about possibly making you an offer. Did I catch you at a bad time? Right? No, you didn't catch me at a bad time. I'm just at work. Yeah, me too. They're making us work from home right now with COVID and everything that's going on. Are you working from the office right now? No, I'm actually not working from the office. And this is just a quick example of how we can get into conversation. Because once he tells me, oh, I'm not working from my office. Okay, what kind of work do you do? Right? This is somebody who's willing to have a conversation with me. If you hear that they're pretty open-minded, they're strategic, they're nice to you, guess what? Go ahead and build rapport with them. Really, the only one you can't attack rapport on is reds. And then you have greens, which they're very similar, generally very passive people, easygoing. They understand that they have a product that you want. And at the end of the day, these are very flexible people with that you can build rapport right away. And, this is somebody that's similar to blues. They're prepared and they're strategic, but they're also more laid back, right? They're not going to make it clear that they ran comps on the house before they called you or that they're, going to shop 3 offers around, right? These are people that ultimately, if they open up to you, you start building rapport with right away because they're okay with that conversation. These are people that want to know that they're in good hands and that they're dealing with somebody trustworthy. So ultimately, building rapport goes to their favor because like Alex said, the average person is going to sell 3 to 4 houses in their lifetime. This is one of those moments for them. So they want to make sure that they really connect and understand that they're in good hands with whoever they deal with.
I feel like a lot of investors rush that thought alone. Like, hey,
Yeah.
most sellers only sell 1 to 4 properties in their life. So why are you going to rush a conversation where it's not like you're buying a freaking iPhone from them from Craigslist or something? Like, you're buying a piece of property that, number 1, is worth a hefty amount of money, and number 2, carries a huge emotional connection with that seller. And then people just rush the conversation because, number 1, people are eager to make money, and guys, you will make money. However, you have to take your time when it comes to Rapport and knowing the different personality types. So with that said, what is the next color?
Yellows. Yellows are really passive, easygoing people. They need direction, and they want to be told how it's done and how to do it, right? These are oftentimes people that, you know, they're kind of go with the wind. They're lower tone.
Mellow.
They're mellow. So you got to match that same tone, right? You have to match that same energy of, hey, look, I'm very laid back also. We're just a home buying company, and, you know, honestly, it sounds like we could really, really help you. You know, would you agree, right? This is how you talk to these people. You communicate in a softer tone. And this is actually the easiest group to build rapport with, because they're on top of being easily persuaded, they're also impulsive. They know that they're looking for a service and that, you know, they could potentially do business with you. So they're going to tell you everything that you need to know. And, you know, that works in your favor. You know, use the context of the conversation of, you know, find that extra avenue or that opening, that commonality to be able to build rapport. So don't overlook that. And, you know, to recap the personalities, we know that if we're dealing with a green, a blue, or a yellow, dive in, start building rapport, start communicating with these people. And when you're dealing with the red, keep it professional, stay business savvy. Keep the first 2-3 minutes of the conversation, you know, oriented around, you know, their piece of property. And as they start to opening up to you, which they will.
Really quick, with the red, if you don't know the answer to a question, how do you respond?
Respectfully, you humble yourself, right? Reds like to be in control. They like to feel like they're winning. They like to feel like it's their game that they're playing. And you play that with them. Mr. Seller, I'm just going to be very honest with you. You know, you keep it, you know, with a little bit of humility in your tone. You say, I just really don't know that aspect of it. I'll be honest. I'm only in charge of X, Y, Z for a real estate solutions company, but don't get me wrong. We can definitely get you the answer to that.
Let me talk to my partner.
Yeah.
And this is where you can come on my YouTube channel and just comment down below, and I'll try to answer every question that I can. Okay, so moving on. So the conversation, we call it, you know, the ratio during the conversation. How much of the time should you be speaking, and then how much of the time should you allow the seller to speak?
So there's a lot of misconceptions about this that, you know, your seller should be talking 70% of the time and you should just be a great listener, right? Have your listening cap on. Like, no, that's BS. In my opinion, the seller needs to be just as engaged as you are in the conversation. Now, don't get me wrong. I do feel like, you know, they should speak a little bit more, which should be something like 60-40.
Do you feel like it depends also on the personality?
100%.
So if it's like a red, you definitely want to do like a 50-50.
100%.
Right? And then if it's like a yellow, that's where you could get away with your 70 or 80-20.
Exactly.
Let them speak, be the heart that hears. So how would that go?
100%. And, you know, if you guys are, you know, seeing like this constant pattern of, you know, there's moving variables when it comes to acquisitions. Not every seller is the same. Every situation is different. Every personality that you deal with is different, right? You know, with your reds, you know, you want to be 50-50. With your yellows, chances are they're going to talk 60-70% of the time, and that's okay. But you just have to understand that the conversation has to be 60-40, one way or the other, because, you know, both sides have to be equally involved and engaged in the conversation. I mean, come on, this is people's retirement you're dealing with. You don't think they have questions? Let them talk. Be a good listener, right? If you don't have the answers, keep it, you know, straightforward with them. Let them know you'll talk to your partner. You'll get specifics for them. Or if you're a little bit more like me, free flow. give them any answer with the utmost confidence.
Okay, so last tip when it comes to building rapport, whatever. The last tip that I want to mention is we call it painting the perfect picture. So how does that look in a conversation?
Painting the perfect picture is using all the information that the seller has provided us with and using it to our advantage when we are getting prepared to discuss numbers, right? So, Mr. Seller, you know, based off of our conversation, I know you told me you're in a little bit of a pickle. You got to relocate to sell the property and you need the funds from this property to be able to move, right, Mr. Seller? So here's what we're going to do. I'm looking at your property, and just based off of our conversation, I know that we'll be able to put the proceeds in your pocket like you need them to happen. We're going to give you enough time to move out. We'd be willing to do so and so and so and so. Whatever their problem is, you just say that you're willing to fix it, right? And you're painting that picture that, Mr. Seller, we're willing to do the dirty work, right? We're willing to, you know, do what others haven't. And even though they just told you, guess what? You're going to repeat it. That's called painting the picture, the perfect picture.
So in essence, there's another term called future pacing. So in essence, you're bringing the future to their awareness by painting the perfect picture of what can happen and what will happen by you buying their property and relieving them of their problems. Guys, so that is it for day 15 of how to build rapport. I know this video was jam-packed with a lot of information, a lot of knowledge and wisdom on, number one, just experience that he's had and that I've had in business, especially when it comes to closing deals. So I hope you guys found this video very valuable. Really quick, before we hop off, any recommendations for the audience to help them further their skills and strategies and techniques along when it comes to closing deals?
100%. Building rapport did not come naturally to me. I had to practice it every single day, whether it was, you know, having an extra conversation with my cashier or building a relationship with the person sitting next to me at a bar, and really just understanding how to communicate with people and build a relationship with absolutely anybody. So if you can build a relationship with any random stranger on the street, you can do the same thing over with somebody on the phone. Now, more specifics on if you want training on how to actually build rapport in detail, we covered it on our last video, but Closers Only hosts a monthly workshop where A to Z, we teach you the real estate sales process.
So guys, you can go to closersonly.com, and for a small investment, literally every month, Mr. Andy Garcia and Adrian Salgado, who have closed hundreds of wholesale deals and have gone through every single sales scenario you can think of and have been responsible for millions and millions of dollars of revenue combined. They do a monthly event, which is all on Zoom, it's all virtual. So check out closersonly.com. That's going to be extremely beneficial for you, especially starting your business. So check out Closers Only, and also make sure you go subscribe to the Closers Only YouTube channel, where they're going to be posting free information. I'll let you talk about that real quick.
Yes. Every presentation, whether you attended one of our events or one of our Zoom or our live Zoom trainings, we put our heart and soul into that information, and people turn around and immediately start winning, and immediately start closing more deals, noticing changes in their conversation. But you know, people always come back because sales is that muscle that you have to keep training, that you have to keep, you know, repetition, right? So, I mean, just due to demand, all our lessons that we cover during our 8 to 10 hour workshop days, I'm going to specifically break down into that YouTube channel. So don't miss out on really valuable information.
Now, you guys threw an event in March 14th when we threw our Momentum Art of Closing event. How did that go for some attendees?
Amazing, absolutely amazing. First case study I think off right off the top of my head. There was one guy, he's out of North Carolina. He's actually Terry Thayer's guy. He comes to the Art of Closing, and while we're done with day one, he says, "Bro, I'm ready to hop on the phones right now." He's like, "I already got a few deals I know that I can close based off of what you guys taught me today," right? The man literally locks up a deal or two deals on the plane ride back home to North Carolina after the Closers Only event. But that's not where it gets good. Where it gets really good, and this is where I found a ton of fulfillment in, was his constant results after our training. I mean, from March 1st to March 14th, he had a handful of deals in escrow.
Right.
Literally following March 13th and 14th, which is when we had our event, he actually got like 11 plus contracts.
Wow. In those next 2 days?
In those next few days, which he ended up, it was a PR for the month. He ended up with like 18 or 19 deals or something like that. But
no, hold on. People are looking at this like, I just want to close one deal. Guys, this business is possible as you begin to scale. The first thing you want to learn is to close your first deal, and then you close, 1 or 2 deals every single month, and then you continue growing that. And throughout that process, I am here to help. I've gone from 1 deals to 20, 25 plus deals a month, and I want to show you that process. So let's take it one step at a time, learn the process, and eventually throughout this YouTube channel, which I hope you're subscribed to, and his YouTube channel, we're going to show you how to scale this bad boy into a 7-figure real estate operation.
And it starts with the sales. Sales can really change your life. It really, really can if you apply and you dedicate time to mastering the craft.
Talk about a case study though, man. That is amazing. I just heard so much good feedback from that event. And
yeah, it was badass.
But guys, that is it for day 15. I hope that you enjoyed this video. Make sure you like, comment down below any questions. I know he'll be answering some of the comments when it comes to this video. Make sure you subscribe to the channel. Again, check out our podcast if you'd like additional information. There is it 2?
2
podcast episodes?
Yeah, 2.
There is 2 podcast episodes when it comes to sales that include Mr. Andy Garcia and Adrian Salgado. I believe it's more than an hour-long podcast where we literally talk about the entire sales process. So if you want additional training for free, check out our podcast. If you would like to help expedite your journey as a real estate investor, real estate wholesaler, we do have an online course that you can get access to today. Again, you don't need to buy it. However, you just like to take the elevator straight up and just get the content and information instantly. The link is in the description. You can find it there or go directly to learntowholesale.com and check that out. Aside from that, guys, I just want to truly thank you guys. It was an honor to have my brother. I think you might be on for another video by the end of the 30 days, and make sure you go subscribe to this channel. Guys, thank you. I will see you tomorrow on day 16. Let's go.
Let's go.